Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault Jersey. Joe Archino back here, and it is finally time. It is 100 segments finally completed. This is the 100th segment completed in 5 weeks of hard work. And, it really was a fun ride. We had never gotten to this many segments in this short an amount of time. And each and every single day, it was building consistency time and time again. And obviously, this is the 7th segment of today to finally get to number 100. But I said earlier in the day, I was kind of making a reference to something. I said, if it's a special number, you have to make it a special, memorable thing. And I think that's why this segment had to certainly hit the nail on the head and be something of some significance. And I think one of the big interesting things this week was you had 3 events that kind of inspired this segment. You had Messi scoring his 300th La Liga goal. You had Michael Jordan celebrating his 53rd birthday. And then you had a kind of date in history thing where Wilt Chamberlain on February 16th, he became the first player to ever score 30,000 points. My kind of segment is wrapped around the three things that kind of connect these players. And you're probably asking, how do you connect Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and then Lionel Messi? I'll tell you how you do it, though. Each of these guys represents a top talent that changed their sport. And I think if you're trying to classify transcendent talent, each of them can be categorized and kind of all other transcendent athletes fall into them. I have Lionel Messi as the quiet one. Messi kind of represents that transcendent talent that, outside of playing are just quiet by nature, not always in the limelight, like to just live their life and not be bothered. Derek Jeter, another guy who falls into that quiet category. The second category I have is the flashy, loud one, always the center of attention, commands the spotlight everywhere they go, and most importantly, embraces that spotlight, unlike the quiet one. Now, that belongs to Michael Jordan, and so many others fall into that one. It is a kind of one of the things that comes with stardom is accepting this role and desiring that role. We don't see as many transcendent talent athletes fall into the quiet category like Messi and like Jeter. Even Bo Jackson is another guy who falls into that category. Most athletes, they've had this kind of aura around them their whole lives because we can really spot the transcendent talent from an early age. You can see the Cristiano Ronaldos at an early age, and he is another one of those guys who falls into that Jordan category of the flashy, the loud one, the one who commands and accepts that spotlight at all times. After that, you have Wilt Chamberlain. Now, Wilt is a very interesting one. This is the category of transcendent talent that was put into situations where the talent around them was inadequate. They were not put into great situations. And we see that many times. I think today LeBron James is the best example of that. Overcoming despite inferior talent would probably be the biggest words I could use to describe that category. And certainly LeBron, what he did bringing the Cavaliers to the finals in 2007 was really the inspiration behind that, because I think you look at what players like Wilt can do and what players like LeBron can do when the best coaching isn't on their side and the best players aren't on their side, and they're still able to win. That is such a testament to their greatness, and it sets them alone in a special category of their own. But, these 3 categories, to me, separate transcendent talent. Now, I'm not just talking about good players. I'm talking about the legends of their sports. Players who changed the games. The Lawrence Taylors of the world. The Tom Bradys of the world. The Lionel Messis of the world. I think all of those players, I use these 3 as kind of the guys who kind of epitomize each category, and then all other transcendent, legendary talent falls into them. And it's interesting, because so many times, and I think Cam Newton's a perfect example of it, if you're a transcendent talent, you've known it your whole life. People around you have treated you differently because of it. And I think Cam Newton losing in Super Bowl 50, you see he struggles tremendously accepting that loss. The way he handled the losing, talking to the media, being down, really being a poor sport about it. But I think when you look back at it, Cam's hasn't done a lot of losing throughout it. This is, he lost on the biggest stage imaginable in the biggest game American sports has to offer. And he'd never come close to that in his life. Most of these guys are used to winning. They have advantages that most of us will never have because of other people. And they usually kind of attracts them to that center stage, to that limelight. That's why I put the Michael Jordan flashy kind of classification in the middle, because most transcendent talent embrace the spotlight. They want it. They love it, and they want their lives to be played out. They always want to be. And I think the biggest, easiest thing to do here is kind of compare the Twitter accounts of a guy like Cristiano Ronaldo from a guy like Messi. Messi posts very infrequently on Instagram. If ever, it's usually about his family or to celebrate a accomplishment. And Cristiano Ronaldo, it's constant. It's constant. It's selfies. It's promotion. It's team. It's everything all the time in your face. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that kind of just shows you the differences. Some guys just want to go out there, play their game. When Messi has given interviews, he said that I just want to play, and outside of that, I'm just a normal guy, and I just want to go, and I just want to, after this, just be a family person and do my own thing, and that's something that he likes. There's not as many of the quiet ones. Most want to accept the spotlight, and they live and they thrive for that spotlight, and it definitely is very interesting to kind of apply it to all these transcendent talents. I think if you make your own list and you try to work this out, you'll kind of see the similar line of thinking. You have three of them. You have one, the quiet one. You have two, the one who accepts and lives for the spotlight, the Michael Jordans, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the Tom Bradys. And then you have the one that overcame despite the inferior talent, being placed in a situation that's not ideal. And a lot of those times in those positions, we see talent being wasted. And that is, I think, one of the saddest things in sports, is to see talent being wasted because you're stuck with an organization that can't get its act together, or just doesn't have stability, or doesn't know how to put together a winning product. It happened to LeBron James his first time in Cleveland. Dan Gilbert, from the top down, did not know how to put together a winning team, didn't know how to put the right people in the front office, didn't have the right coach together. It's difficult to build something like that overnight. Sometimes it takes a very long time, and it really took them a wake-up call from LeBron leaving and then coming back to get the act together. But you give them credit, because it seems like at this point they so far have done that. But the classification of transcendent talent goes as far as the quiet ones, to the ones who live for the spotlight, to the ones who are placed in the not most ideal situations, but are usually able to overcome those situations and win in spite of them. It's a very unique list of athletes. There are not tons of them, but the LeBron Jameses of the world, the Messis of the world, the Wilt Chamberlains of the world, those are what correlate. And for the 100th segment, I thought this would be a very interesting one to do, because, again, if you say it out loud, what do Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Lionel Messi have in common? You're kind of going to struggle for linking those all those terms together. But when you look at it and you think about it logically, and you think and you write all these names down, I think you can understand logically why all these guys do relate and why they do have something in common. But that really is wrapping up the 100th segment of the semester. It took 5 weeks to get to this point. A lot of hard work, a lot of fun putting these segments together every single day in the booth, in the radio station down in La Penta. Have not skipped a beat. What is the next kind of goal? It's got to be 200. Now, it took 5 weeks to get to 100. Will it take another 5 to get to 200? Very possible. You could always kind of speed up the process, try to do more segments during the day, but sometimes you have slow news days. Sometimes the news just can't stop coming fast enough, but certainly you know that I will be here breaking everything down, from soccer to basketball to football, everything that there is. I enjoy talking about it. It's the passion. I love being in here and talking about it every single day, connecting all the things that I've learned about life with sports. That's really what makes it special, and it's one of my favorite things to do. But I'm not going anywhere. Signing off with a 100th segment, and until with the 101st segment on Monday, here's Jersey Joe Archino with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll see everybody for 101.